Billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
A poor man prayers,
every man bleeds.
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy SL550, and this is the N.G.L.A podcast, where we talk about a little bit of everything. But lately, I've been on a politics tip, and football season coming, so you know I'm going to transition a little bit. But we just having fun, man. And today we're going to talk about a few things. But before we start, make sure you hit that like button, that share button. Also, hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time your boy drop a dope video. Today, man, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to go from Stephen Gardner to Benny Johnson to LauraTrump show, and we're going to show a few clips and talk about it. So before we get started, I wanted to play this because a lot of people are, saying Trump ain't doing nothing and Trump ain't getting things done, and just want to show proof that, even CNN.
Trump's remaking the United States of America. We can start there with tariffs. What are we talking about? No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this, 18%. It is the highest, Omar, the highest since the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. As I'm going to talk about in this segment, I can't think of a more influential president during this century, and it starts here with tariffs. He said he was going to raise tariffs, and despite the claims otherwise, he is in fact doing that. The effective tariff rate at this point looks to be 9 times as high as it was last year, the highest since the 1930s in FDR, Omar.
And the effective tariff rate is up from 2% last year, for those that might see the banner there. Tariffs, though, aren't the only way Trump's remaking policy in America, right?
It is not the only way that Trump is remaking America. What are we talking about? Well, let's jump. The other big thing that Trump ran on, right, was immigration. How about net migration in the United States? Get this. It's down. It's going to be down at least 60%. We may be dealing with, get this, negative net migration to the United States in 2025. That would be the first time there is negative net migration in this country in at least 50 years. We're talking about down from 2.8 million in 2024. So Donald Trump has always run on tariffs, and he's run on a hawkish line on immigration. And on both of those issues, we are seeing record high tariff rates for this century going all the way back, well back into the early part of the 20th century. And when it comes to immigration, net migration, we are seeing record low levels, way down from where we were during the Biden administration. We are potentially looking at negative net migration for the first time in at least 50 years. And that is a big reason why that I'm saying that Trump, at least in my mind, is the most influential president, certainly this century, and probably dating a good back chunk into the 20th century as well, Omar. Trump's remaking the United States.
Dang. Even CNN is admitting the truth that Donald Trump is going to go down as the GOAT, the greatest president of all time. And people can say what they want, man, but talk about what he's doing. That's my whole thing. When you talk about anybody, talk about what they do. Anybody, it's a lot of greats out here, and people just want to put blemishes on their names. And I guess it's just the nature of just man, bro. Like, no matter what Trump do, people just still want to, make him out to be a racist and all of these things that he just isn't. He's the only president in my lifetime, or forget my lifetime, since I've been following politics, and I've been following politics very close this election. But before this, you hear a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you won't really be in tune. And since I've been in this whole political atmosphere, doing research on many different things, even going back years, Donald Trump has been the only president that I've seen personally who has actually done things, passed policies, and put things in place that actually benefit the American people. So you can say what you want. Donald Trump is the most influential president in my lifetime. And he's doing a lot for us, man. He's doing a lot for America. And that's what it's about. It's what your president is supposed to do. Your president is supposed to look out for America. We're from here. I said this before. Other countries, they're looking out for their country, for their people. And that's what they're supposed to do. So, you know, I respect the guy, man. You know, but we're going to get into this next video. I just wanted to play that real quick to start the video off. But we're going to get into this next video with Stephen Gardner. I wanted to play it yesterday, but we're going to play it today. And let's get straight into it because they got some good things in here.
So many big stories. President Trump continues to call for the arrest of top Democrats, including Obama, Hillary Clinton. He says he regrets not doing this last time and that it is time to officially drain the swamp. Also, President Trump points out how many members of Congress have been serving for too long and how we need term limits and a new census. To help me go through all this, I have a special guest, Trent Staggs. Trent, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, great to be with you, Steve.
So we had you on before. Trent is a top Republican here in Utah. He is a super pro-MAGA mayor. He also ran for Congress and will hopefully run again down the road. President Trump is starting to put out memes. He put out a video of Barack Obama being arrested. He did an interview earlier this week where he said he regretted not going after Hillary Clinton. He thought that was the kind thing to do. And then look at what they did to him. Now, today, he's putting out
They don't woke up the monster. But he did say that. I've heard him say it. I've heard him say that that it just wouldn't be right to go after the president's wife. But he could have. And he didn't. And now he regrets it. Because they went after him like a motherfucker.
Nothing will change. He wants to see James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, McCabe, Hillary Clinton, Obama. He says these people have to go to jail. And I put out yesterday that if criminals aren't held accountable, then their crimes are just repeated. What are your thoughts on all this information coming out? And is it time to actually start arresting people?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's unbelievable, right? The amount of information that has been coming out over the last few weeks. Tulsi Gabbard, DNI Director of National Intelligence, coming out and just essentially saying that the level of corruption reached all the way to the top. And I'm with you 100%. I mean, the accountability has to be there. That's what put President Trump in office. This amazing, charismatic leader that cares about the average American and wanting to bring some accountability back to government, get the swamp, the establishment creatures out. That's why I was so proud to have his endorsement in the U.S. Senate campaign last year. I'm proud to be serving in his administration today within the Small Business Administration and trying to cut out all regulation. But that's exactly the case. We've got to have accountability. These folks have to do time in order for just the credibility to be brought back. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the polling data recently that just illustrates that faith and belief in institutions here in America is at an all-time low, Stephen. And I think this is the reason why, because we have rules for thee, but not for me. And even worse than that, we see the politicization and the weaponization of Department of Justice and other federal agencies to go after, as they clearly did, President Trump.
Yeah, I was shocked. I've been saying, okay, I think they're going to drag Obama through the mud. I think that they are going to humiliate him, try to ruin his presidential pristine record. I think all of that's going to happen. But then one of the top lawyers in America, David Schoen, he actually came out this week and said, I don't know that you can get Obama on treason, but you could certainly get him on seditious conspiracy, especially if he did even one single thing after office. Then they could impeach him and go after him. I don't know that we will. I'm going to stand by. I don't know that we'll actually get him. But I do believe that they could get John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey, even Hillary Clinton. It's time to finally open the investigation that James Comey refused to do as he was trying to rig the election against Donald Trump. I think it would do the American people well to see some of these faces put behind bars.
Well, absolutely.
That's a fact.
And, you might be right with respect to Obama and the level of immunity that he may have. Although I believe personally, you shouldn't have, the hard time I have with this is that they have sworn an oath, right? To preserve, protect, defend the Constitution of the United States. That oath should mean something. I mean, even down to the mayoral level where I serve today, we've had to take an oath. That's that same oath to support, obey, and defend the Constitution. And if we're acting seditiously like this and treasonous in a treasonous way, which I believe that this is, they are not upholding that oath, and there should be definitely accountability for that. We have got to get back to a place where the credibility and faith in these institutions is restored. And the only way to do that, again, in my view, is to have some serious consequences and repercussions for information that we're seeing just plainly coming out today that this went all the way to the top. I mean, they knew that the intelligence agencies really knew that this wasn't credible at all. It didn't even meet their own standard for disclosing this type of intelligence out there. Yet they went ahead and crafted and concocted this bogus narrative so it could weigh down, if not completely, weigh down President Trump's first term, if not completely try to remove him from office.
Yeah. They're saying, Obama might get away with this because of presidential immunity. But that presidential immunity only comes when you are behaving within your office of president, right? Betraying the country, trying to overthrow an election, overthrow the government, that is not part of a president's duty, right? Like we were all agitated that Joe Biden as president was betraying his oath by allowing the United States of America to be overrun by illegal immigrants. How is it any different than Barack Obama conspiring with U.S. intelligence agencies to literally overthrow the government that was properly elected with an actual election that Donald Trump won? I think if they start digging into this, and I think this is why Trump is trying to drip this information out. A couple of weeks ago, nobody was thinking about Obama. Nobody was thinking about crimes or anything. So I think they have to let this stuff, because once it becomes familiar and common, if they make a move, people are going, well, it's been in the media. They might do this for many months. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that he's bringing it to light. This is definitely something that is abhorrent and something that, again, has to have consequence. I think you're right. I think that immunity only has certain, has a certain boundary within it. And I believe that Obama crossed those lines clearly in trying to completely undo the will of the American people that voted in President Trump back in 2016. It was, you have to think back. There's so much going on in the news cycles these days, but you think back to those years, and my goodness, the administration was weighed down so heavily. It was mired in so much. We could have accomplished so much more. You look at what's happened in the first 6 months here in Trump 2 and his second administration. It is phenomenal. I mean, the amount of things he's been able to accomplish. If he didn't have that albatross around him and everybody, every day, the media,
And another thing too, like Trump could have really said, fuck it. He could have said, you know what, man, all of this really isn't. And this is why I fuck with Trump. He could have been like, look, you know what, man, they're involving my family. They're investigating my family. They raiding Mar-a-Lago. Like, this is too much. And, he could have did the 4 years, got out, and said, you know what, fuck it. I just don't want to deal with this. This is too much. And he's in his later years. I think Trump is what? Almost 80, or if not 80, let me see. think Trump like 79. Yeah, I was going to say that. Trump's 70. He's 79 years old. He already served 4 years, which was tough because, he couldn't trust nobody. Everybody was giving him bad advice and, he just, was going through so much, them trying to impeach him and just a lot. I couldn't imagine going through that. You look at some of the things the regular, just celebrities go through and you like, damn, I couldn't imagine going through that. Even if it's a lie or not, just being in a public space, like Donald Trump is and a lot of people, and you getting ran on every news cycle, all of these lies, they're lies, but the average American doesn't. And you're trying to represent the country as the president of the United States. And you got your own media, kicking your back in, trying to do whatever they can to help the Democrats impeach you. Just so much. He could have easily said, yo, I don't want to deal with this no more. This is too much. But he didn't. At 79 years old, he went away for 4 years, basically, when they stole the election in 2020, and he came back. He said, nah, because he actually genuinely gives a fuck about America. I tell people, go back to interviews that he had back in the 80s. I'm talking about years ago, decades ago. Decades ago, he was saying the same things that he's saying now about trade, all the same stuff. He really, his position on things really isn't different, to be honest with you. And I believe that Trump, back in those days, really leaned more towards Democrats, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been a Democrat. But he started seeing all of these different things going on. Obviously, he got into politics, became the president, started seeing so much corruption and bullshit that he knew he had to run again. He had to do it. And he came in much smarter and all just doing a lot more. And that is true. Trump has done so much in this little bit of time. Just imagine, by the end of this term right here, how much he's going to get done. If he could do all of this in 6 months, man, he could really have America looking really, really good. Really, really good, bro. Like, he's really standing on making America great again. So you gotta respect it, bro. You just got to,
Combination
man.
of media,
You're lying to yourself if you don't.
The left just attacking nonstop, weighing him down. We could have accomplished so much more as a country, and that is what is so disheartening to me. That this has really become, when I ran last year and had great patriots like Tommy Tuberville come out and talk. He said, this is really increasingly becoming American versus anti-American. And we have an establishment swamp that is anti-American, 100% in my view. And that's, they don't care at all about you and I. They only care about amassing power, maintaining power, and doing all that they can to knock people out.
Yeah. A thought that I've been having this last week, Trent, is, before President Trump came in, Dr. Anthony Fauci said there's going to be a surprise pandemic during Trump's administration, right? Then we get mired down in this Russia bullcrap. And right as that's ending, wouldn't you know it, this surprise pandemic comes out of nowhere. Then we find out that Dr. Anthony Fauci illegally funded it, illegally promoted it. I mean, even Obama was like, we can't be doing gain of function research. So what does he do? He offloads it to Ukraine and he offloads it to China. Then we end up in this like media war with China and an actual war with Ukraine. I just think some of this seems like too much of a coincidence. I think it was all to shut Trump down.
Well, I think a lot of what has been going on.
I said the same thing, man. I was saying this to my wife a while ago, but we was talking about it, I believe yesterday or the day before. I've been saying that they started the pandemic. The pandemic was a man-made virus that was started. I believe that it was real in the sense of they created a concoction that can cause people to get sick in mass, because at the time I was in jail. I was in the county jail when I went to prison. Like right around that time, I went to prison, right? And people were getting sick. It was getting crazy. Like it was getting crazy, man. And back then I wasn't so much into this. Now that I am, you start looking into these things, and you realize that the United States government was funding this. So we're involved with it. So you have to say, like, what's the odds of that, man? Like, what's the odds of that? I'm 36 years old, right? And right before, like, Donald Trump, beloved celebrity all these years, runs for president in 2015, becomes the president in 2016. By the end of his term, boom. The biggest pandemic ever just all of a sudden happens. Like, come on, what is the odds of that? Something we have never seen before. And I'm looking for some. I'm trying to research something. I want to play something that was also creepy too from Obama, but I got to find it.
Is definitely a concerted effort. It has been planned. I mean, well, you see it with the intelligence coming out. The operation, what they even had names for it, right? Crossfire Hurricane. They have been planning systemically to do all they can to take him down and pursue their own agenda, which is frightening. I'm so grateful that President Trump won in this election, that people stood up, made their voices heard, many of which may not over the years have actively participated in politics, but as they stood forward and said, enough is enough. We can't have this happen to our country anymore. I mean, you talk about Anthony Fauci. There's another person that should be definitely behind bars. That guy should have been removed a long time ago, and he was allowed to continue doing what he was doing. I think Senator Rand Paul has really, had a great takedown of Anthony Fauci and all of the insidious behavior that guy has, perpetrated on the American people.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? He got this magical, out of nowhere auto pen pardon that Biden wasn't in the office for, didn't know about. Let me switch gears with you. Right before the 4th of July, just
I found it. Right. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it after this. You know what? Fuck that. I want to play it right now. Give me 1 second. Just doing this crazy, bro.
He knew that.
Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to come back to this. All right, let's pause this. All right, watch this. This is crazy.
He knew there'd be a pandemic or an epidemic of this proportion.
Hold on, wait for it. 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days earlier. Earlier. Pardon me.
There may and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly. And in order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that
Hold on, bro. We gotta run this back, bro. Hold on, bro. This is crazy, bro.
There may and likely will come a time in which we have
said there
both
may
an airborne disease that is
there may and most likely will. How could you know that? Bro.
And
wicked, bro.
In order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment and we're further along to be able to catch it. It is a smart investment for us to make. It's not just insurance, it is knowing that down the road we're going to continue to have problems like this, particularly in a globalized world.
Bruh. All right, let's get back to this. But bro, come on, bro. My thing is this. You could sit there and say, oh, well, he was talking about, flus and things like that, that Spanish flu, things that become, just be popping up and they want to be safe. And it's, no, bro. The devil puts things in plain sight. It's just like you ever watch movies. You ever watch a movie, even an older movie, right? That you never saw. It intrigued you. You watched it, and it was things in the movie that you're like, yo, that's crazy. Like, that's really going on now. They put things in movies and things like that. It's a mind thing, We're gonna put it out there. This is how they get people to, to kind of be accustomed to what's going to happen, because they already know. These people they play chess at all times, and they'll set events up years in advance. They already got things planned. That's why this shit get wicked. And it was something else. I gotta find it too. It was something else that he said he was on a pivot. I watched when he was on a pivot not too long ago. I'm not sure if it was the end of 2024 or the beginning of 2025, but he said something on there that was interesting. I'm gonna try to find it. But yo, if that's not, come on. He said it's gonna come a time like, well, how would you know that? How would you know that? And even like the flus and all of that, them type of things, like, yeah, people may have died from them type of things, but it's not in mass, like all crazy. Most of the time, bro, when it's things like that, it's something behind it. It's shit is creepy, bro. This shit is fucking creepy, man. But that's crazy. But let me try to find this other
there were
thing.
all these protests. Oh, Donald Trump thinks he's a king. He's a king. In America, we don't have kings.
All
President
projection.
Trump put out today, he's like, you guys say I'm a king? Look at this. Chuck Grassley, 50 years in government. Joe Biden, 48 years. Chuck Schumer, 44. Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, et cetera, et cetera. Trump's been in for 4 years and 5 months, but I'm the king. I'm the one that's ruling too long with a heavy hand. What are your thoughts on term limits and what President Trump just pointed out here?
Well, I'm all for term limits, but before I get there, I wish there's one other statistic he could obviously share too, Stephen, which is the net worth of all those individuals before they started in government and when they get, to where they are today, is unbelievable. There's no way that these folks can amass the type of wealth that they have on what is it? The congressional salary today is $174,000 a year. It's just impossible. We know that there's something going on there. We know that there's trading with respect to early information. We know that there's this revolving door. We know that U.S.
My bad, man. My bad, Stephen Miller. My bad. My man, Stephen Gardner. I said Stephen Miller. But I gotta hold on. Because this was, all right, so I wanted to play that, but I also want to play this one. Because this was more recent, right? The audio is kind of terrible. My bad. The audio is kind of ass on it, to be honest with you. Somebody this is like a quick, I've just found it quick. But let me go back. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Okay, here it go. All right.
Young president who does.
All right, hold on. So the audio isn't that great, but bear with me. It's not that great. It's like it's just a 2-minute clip. But listen to this. Stuff like this, right? Stuff like this, I watch, and I pay attention to what people say. Words are so powerful, man. Like, they're really powerful. And sometimes, man, people be having so much going on, they slip and they say stuff, it's crazy. But just listen to this.
You have a president who doesn't care about you, it can make things worse. So I've been using the example during COVID. We had a whole plan before COVID had happened, when I was still president. We anticipated there was going to be a pandemic. We put together a whole playbook.
Bro, he said, what? Hold on, bro. Yo. Hold on.
You have a president who doesn't care about you, it can make things worse. So I've been using the example during COVID. We had a whole plan before COVID had happened, when I was still president. We anticipated there was going to be a pandemic.
We anticipated there was going to be a pandemic, bro. Yo, I watched this interview on the Pivot. I fuck with Ryan Clark and Shannon and all, and forgetting their name off top. Fred, my bad. But anyway, they said before when he was president. So I showed you another comment that he made referencing a pandemic. Then he gets on a Pivot. This is recent. This is not too long ago. Hold on. I'm not even going to look at when it was. You can go look at it. Look up Obama on the Pivot. I think he only was on there once, or I think he was only on there once. So this was either the beginning of this year. Or the end of 2024. But bro, he said he anticipated a pandemic.
Put together a whole playbook.
Playbook.
Here's what you
do if
there's a pandemic. We practiced it, had all our agencies practice it. Here's how you deal with schools. Here's how you deal with public health agencies to minimize the disruption. Now, whoever was president, COVID was going to be a dose. People were going to die, businesses were going to close. It was going to be a problem. It hadn't happened in 100 years. But Canada had a 60% lower death rate than America. 60%. 1 million people died in the United States. If we had done a better job, that's 600,000 people who might be alive. Disproportionately African American, black people, and brown people.
You see what they do to make Donald Trump look bad? That's all it really was about, was we need a way to make Donald Trump look bad because the election was coming back up. We don't want him to get reelected. We need to get back in power. We need to control things. And they did it. They used COVID as a way to get in the door. Then they start telling you, people only voting for Donald Trump because they got a stimulus check and things like that. Bro, you can't sit here and tell me, bro, that ain't weird shit. That before Donald Trump became president, we had a whole playbook about this thing and we acted it out and we did this and this. Come on, bro. Like, this shit crazy. Like, that's crazy, man. That is some crazy shit. I don't care what nobody say. Bro, they had concocted this because they wanted to gain power again. And they did. And notice what they did when they got in. They used who? Joe Biden, who listen, I kind of feel bad for the guy. He was used. He wasn't in the right state of mind. Not everybody that's 80 is the same. Some people get dementia. Some people are very active and healthy and in the gym and all of that. Some people are in a wheelchair. 80 is different for everybody. For Joe Biden, 80 was 80. He was done up. And at the end of the day, there's plenty of clips out there, him real slow to put his glasses on, falling up steps all the time. He just walking off and they got to grab him by the arm and lead him to where he needs to go. Come on, man. This guy was not fit to be president. And they used him, bro. They used Joe Biden, bro. And I believe Obama was one of the ones. And that's the reason. And that's another reason why we had that crazy, immigration issue. Because they were just flying them in. Come on, bring them in. We want them all because they wanted to make a way to keep power. And this whole no kings thing that they're talking about, Stephen Gardner, was just them. Because why are they fighting so hard for immigration? People can come here legally. They do it all the time. They do it all the time. Why are they beasting so hard about immigration? They don't even go this hard about, black issues that are going on right here in America. They go into these facilities trying to break in and act like they care about the people that's in there. Why you ain't doing it for all the prisons that's filled with black bodies? I don't see y'all trying to bust down the doors for them, trying to get them out, trying to change all these laws that imprison a lot of brown and black people. I don't see y'all trying to do that. But y'all fighting for immigration. Come on, stop, man. They want these people to be here so they can vote. They literally said that black people, and I know I'm going off on a little rant, I apologize, but they said that black people didn't know how to use a computer. They said that Democrats said that you didn't know how to use a computer. You didn't know how to go get an ID. You couldn't afford one. They said all of these different things about black people. The reason why they don't want to make elections safe and make it to where you have to show proof of citizenship. Because they said that they know that's not true, though. They know it's not true, but they're going to say it anyway because they need a reason to make it to where people can go vote. Anybody can vote at that point. Oh, when I voted for Trump, when I went in there, they made it known you do not have to have an ID in order to vote. They made it known, and I live in New Jersey. It's a Democratic state. It was crazy. I seen a white lady next to me, and she was reading it out loud, and she was just like, you could see it on her face, like, wow, like, okay, that's crazy. And it is. Like, why are they doing it? For what? Like, you got to have an ID to get cigarettes, to go to the bar, to go to the clubs, to go to the casino. You need IDs for all of these different things, to drive a car, but you don't need an ID to vote for the president of the United States? Stop. These people are corrupt.
Say ID.
Wicked.
There's all kinds of ways for money to be appropriated that you and I are paying or have been indebted now to the tune of $36+ trillion that's going out and cycling back and finding its way into these swamp creatures, these lifetime politicians. And, I got to say that would solve a lot of problems. I'm serving as a mayor. I'm finishing out my 8th year. It's a self-imposed term limit. We don't have term limits here. So I'm putting my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and stepping aside, not seeking re-election here. That's how strongly I believe in it. I've signed the term limits pledge when I ran for Senate last year. That was one of the first things that I did because I truly believe that that is part of the solution. That's an answer to get us back to a place where we have a citizen government. And that's what the founders envisioned. That's what they gave us in 1787. But we've run far afield from that. And the point that was so ridiculous to have this no kings protest and running around. I mean, the true no kings protest, was back in 1776, right? I mean, this is something that if Trump were truly a king, would he have allowed these protests to even occur? And the fact that we had so much violence erupting, I put out a statement personally saying, if any of this nonsense comes to my city, if you are engaged in any sort of protest that turns violent, you'll be arrested on the spot. We're not putting up with it. And I wish we had more even local elected officials that would stand up and take that kind of action and signal to these radical lunatics that there's going to be consequence. Getting back to what we first talked about, there has to be consequence for these actions. And then maybe things would start changing.
Yeah. I asked Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer, about that. He said, it's one thing to use your voice, but when you start locking people in buildings, destroying, like your bad behavior is not freedom of speech, right? So I figured out actually how Nancy Pelosi is such a great trader. It's not insider trading. It's not access to the earliest amount of information. She puts on her little tennis sweater and her pearl necklace, and she gets out a bucket of ice cream and a bottle of gin, and she just kind of blindfolds herself and throws a dart at the wall. And she's like, oh my gosh, I beat Warren Buffett again, the greatest investor of all times. I beat him again. So we know it wasn't insider trading. But yeah, I mean, Trump makes such a great point. Like these are the people, Mitch McConnell, Biden, Schumer, Pelosi, Sanders. What have they really done for the country other than to enrich themselves? So I want to get your thoughts on this. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's controversial. People either love her, hate her, or are confused by her. But I like many of her ideas. She proposed and briefed President Trump on an idea that I believe would absolutely change the country. She said we need to immediately redo the census. If we do that, the country will see that based on citizens, not bodies, that the country is more red than any of us would have ever guessed. What are your thoughts on what would happen if we did a census and removed all the illegal?
Yo, that is crazy though. These people been in, I didn't even know that. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Hold on, I gotta go back and see that. Hold on. That's wow. Where's that at? Right here. Look at that. Joe Biden. So how long reign in government? Chuck Grassley, 50 years. Joe Biden been in the government for 48 years. Chuck Schumer, 44. God damn. Nancy been in there 40 years, basically. God damn. And they're not the only ones. And look at that. Trump said, Trump, 4 years and 5 months. But Donald Trump is a king. That's true.
These are the people, Mitch McConnell, Biden, Schumer, Pelosi, Sanders.
Shift with those 400
us would have ever guessed. What are your thoughts on what would happen if we did a census and removed all the illegal immigrants?
Well, we have to remove them first. I think President Trump has made a substantial strides in getting criminal illegal immigrants out. We have close to 2 million people that have burdened our system with millions or billions of dollars and going through and getting due process.
I think it's more than
their
that.
Asylum claims have been adjudicated. They've been given deportation orders. They're still here. They're largely in these blue cities and blue states. And I think she's absolutely right. If we were to take a look at that today, because we know that the way they're doing the census today, they are appropriating districts and congressional seats based on just the population. It isn't tied to citizenry. And so I think in a lot of these states, if the numbers were there, taking out upwards of 20 million people in a lot of these jurisdictions, Stephen, you're going to see a huge shift with those 400 in the way in which those 435 congressional.
Just think about that though. They said about 20 million illegal immigrants are here in America. Undocumented people, right? New Jersey has 9.5 million people, right? So that's what? That's the size of 2 New Jerseys of people that's here in America. Like, God damn. That's a lot of people, man. That's a lot.
Seats are actually allocated.
How do you get rid of that?
I think we need to do it. That's one thing that I've talked about repeatedly. We've got to restore the value of citizenship. It's something I talk about at length in my book. It's that whole concept of citizenship our founders had was that this was a sacred duty, and it wasn't just a legal status or some type of passive entitlement that people would receive. And it's been so cheapened over the years because of many factors, but not the least of which the lack of enforcement of immigration, that we are where we are today. But yeah, that's a huge step in the right direction, is to redo the census and make sure that seats are allocated actually based on, legitimate U.S. citizenship representation.
Okay. It's good to get a mayor's perspective. Let me show you what Governor Ron DeSantis had to say, because he specifically goes after California and Florida, which, if you went back and watched their debate between he and Gavin Newsom, it was amazing. But let me show you what he had to say earlier today.
I do, that this next census, whether they do it mid-decade, which I know they've considered doing another census, because I think you have to do it once every 10 years. It doesn't mean you can't do it more than every 10 years under the Constitution. They should do it and count people that are legally allowed to be here. How many seats would California lose if you only counted lawful people, citizens? They would lose a lot of seats because they're a sanctuary state. For us, we would stand to gain because we did not spend money to try to count illegals, because I don't think that that's constitutionally proper. That is ultimately going to be resolved by the U.S. Supreme Court, because I do think the Trump administration is going to put in for a census that is not going to count foreign nationals.
All right. So he goes on, but how many seats would California lose? How many seats would Florida pick up? They just redistrict Texas based on population, cities, neighborhoods, new zoning, all of that. Texas is going to pick up 5 Republican seats. So we've gone along with the Democrats.
Yeah, so we're going to stop it right there, man. This was a good interview. If y'all want to go check the rest out, go to Stephen Gardner's channel on YouTube. Now we're about to get into Benny Johnson showing some crazy shit with this Epstein thing, man. A lot of people they getting deep with this Epstein situation, man. I kind of thought it would kind of be not as big as it is, to be honest with you. It's not as big for me, but I'm showing it because a lot of people they're talking about this. So let's see what the great Benny Johnson is talking about.
What's up, guys? Spenny. We are living in an era of greater trust in the corporate media. That's why channels like ours are, growing so quickly and so strongly, because we are trying our very level-headed best to ask the questions consistently, no matter who's in charge, about what the hell happened to people like Jeffrey Epstein. We ask a lot of uncomfortable questions around here, but we're not scared of these topics because you're interested in them, and we serve you, not the powerful. We don't lick the boots. So when we have Epstein's former lawyer on the stream live, Alan Dershowitz, we asked him this, and the answer stunned us. We said, do you think Epstein killed himself? It's possible. You have been a skeptic about the official Epstein story for a long time.
I have been. I'm not a skeptic about the fact that he didn't do it alone. He could not have simply killed himself alone. If he killed himself, it was with the assistance of some guards. And some guards have been disciplined for turning off their videos and for other actions that allowed him to kill himself. But it wouldn't surprise me if somebody managed to get into the prison and kill him, because I don't understand what his motive would have been. He could have killed himself at any time. And if he was going to be let out on bail, then why would he kill himself? So I've always had my doubts, my questions, but it's certainly plausible that he may have killed himself.
It's plausible that he could have killed himself at any time, says Dershowitz. So why do it in the worst possible way in a prison system where you're going to have to physically break your own neck with the insane amount of prison linens that you've been given? This is allegedly the noose they cut down from Jeffrey Epstein's neck. Doesn't show that it's cut, though. That's strange, isn't it? No blood on it. Apparently he broke he went so hard on this 4-foot bunk that it broke his neck bones. See that? That's what he used to break his neck bones, even though he's a 6-foot tall man. None of it makes any sense, and we got to give credit where credit is due here. If you look at the actual evidence, there have been some people, and CBS News has been one of those outlets, who, even way back in the day, and
hey, yo, first of all, bro, I've been in jail, unfortunately, and prison. If you're on suicide watch, they would never give you that many blankets. Impossible. They would not give you that many blankets, bro. If you're on suicide watch. And the one thing that I noticed that there were, this is not unusual to see a bunk bed and then the bed on the floor. Now, I know in New Jersey, man, it used to be 4 people to a cell, and that was illegal. And then they changed it around 2017, 16, 17, to where now it's only 2 people in a cell. But back then, it was 4 people in one cell with 2 bunks. You would just get your mattress, and you would be like, just like this, like under the bunk, like head near the toilet. And that's how it was. But if he this is a high profile person, unless he was in a cell by himself with 2 bunks, and he just happened to put one of the beds on the floor, I just don't see it. I don't see it. It already look to me, being as though I've been in prison. I did, 2 separate bids in prison, one almost 5 and another for almost 4. So this type of stuff would never happen. He would never. You don't even get the access to have this many sheets. You have to like steal them, or like somebody get them from somebody when they're leaving or something. You will never. And they usually, when you leave, you gotta have the sheets that I think it's 2 sheets. Yeah, 1 sheet or 2 sheets in a blanket that they give you, and you got to give it back. And they got to make sure they got to count it and all of that stuff. So most of the stuff is accounted for. There's no way he would be getting access to this many sheets and blankets. Impossible, bro. They wouldn't, especially being on suicide watch.
Some old school clips from CBS has been questioning this. And now that the government has given its bombshell video evidence that Jeffrey Epstein definitely killed himself, CBS just blasted a massive hole in that. One, you can see here in this video,
this is crazy because
of course you can't actually see the stairwell into the tier block for Jeffrey Epstein. But you can see that someone is entering Jeffrey Epstein's tier block here around 10:40 p.m. at night. You can see an orange figure, something that is orange,
Yo, you seen that? That's crazy. That's literally a person, bro. That is a person, bro. Come on. Yo, they're crazy. That's crazy.
Presumably, somebody carrying all of these linens into Jeffrey Epstein's cell. Why does it look like he's running a laundromat in his cell? These are the official photos from the federal government of what Jeffrey Epstein's cell looked like. Where the hell do you really give people on suicide watch all these linens?
No.
And these are the questions that CBS News asked in a recent and very interesting.
Yo, even they have this thing in our county called the turtle suit. Like when you really, like if they really think like you could hurt yourself, they would put you in a cell with no sheets, no blankets, no nothing. They would just put this like, it's like a suit to cover you, because you exposed or whatever, but you naked under it. And they would give you this like thing to put on, and it's like thick as hell, I think. I never wore it, but I've seen people in it on them tiers that they have like specific tiers for that. But also I want to say I've heard Benny Johnson say that the guards they fell asleep or something. Like, come on, bro. All of the things that can possibly go wrong when this guy gets killed happens. The camera doesn't work. The guards fell asleep. Like, what? Get the fuck
breakdown of the federal government's video that they gave to all of us saying, no, you don't understand. Like, this is definitely guaranteed proof that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. It's a spectacular breakdown. Please don't unsubscribe. CBS News did a great job here, and we're thankful for their analysis. We're going to break down even more. Here we go.
This was the nearly 11-hour video agents reviewed when they investigated the death of convicted child predator Jeffrey Epstein. Government officials say it's proof that no one entered his cell tier. Malfunctioning equipment meant only one camera recorded the general area, and that camera captured part of the common area, including the officer's station and a sliver of the staircase leading to Epstein's cell. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino.
There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
CBS News has reviewed the tape, and this is what it shows. The primary entrance is here. The pathway from the entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera, leaving ample room for someone to enter unseen. This is the last time Epstein is believed to have been seen on camera, but we don't see him walking up the stairs to his cell. Bongino also said none of this video was doctored. It was the original, raw footage from the camera.
We're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans.
But a review by multiple video forensic experts found several indications this may not be raw footage. For example, at 11:21 p.m., a cursor appears briefly, indicating the video may have actually been a recording of a computer screen. Experts told CBS News the video's metadata, which tracks how a file is created and changed, shows it's made from 2 clips edited together. Then, at 11:58 p.m., the video suddenly jumps to midnight, and the aspect ratio shifts. Here's U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
There was a minute that was off the counter, and what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
But a government source familiar with the probe told CBS News the FBI and other agencies are in possession of a copy of the video that records with no interruption.
These inconsistencies, while not contradicting the conclusion Epstein.
These are honest. These seem to be, from my perspective, honest and good faith questions and reporting about what actually happened. Now we're learning there's mystery third person seen in Epstein prison video the final night. There's a breakdown here of what seems to be a third dark individual heading towards Epstein's cell. Now this would be early in the morning, very early in the morning, 4 a.m. Now, according to the autopsy report, Jeffrey Epstein had been dead for about 2 or 3 hours, and he was discovered at 6 a.m. So is this the person who went in and murdered him? Was Jeffrey Epstein even murdered? You know, at this point, you're left to ask, like, wait a second. You know, if you can't even see the stairwell in the video, well, I mean, here, this is the diagram. Right. This is Jeffrey Epstein's cell, the red one. This is the staircase. You can barely see anybody going in or out. The entrance to the actual, you can see here, there's a staircase that goes down. There's also an entrance to the prison over here. There's a door right here to get into or out of the prison administrative facilities. Was Jeffrey Epstein even in the cell? Was it even Jeffrey Epstein? It's wild. Who could be the mysterious people that were going into or out of the area where Jeffrey Epstein was held? Let's listen.
Report says the unit was secured by 2 doors, one requiring a key held only by Noelle and Thomas. Noelle told investigators no one could enter without her physically opening that door. But here's where it gets tricky. Let's look at this one example. 4 a.m. Noelle remains in full view of the camera, yet seconds later, someone walks in, and it appears neither Noelle nor Thomas let her in. The report is silent on this apparent contradiction. And even if there was no other key, both Noelle and Thomas had ample opportunities to let someone in. At least a half dozen times, one or the other of them exits the camera frame in the direction of the door, all without explanation. We shared this with our forensic experts who agreed there was no way to conclusively determine from the video whether an unseen visitor was or was not let into the Epstein unit, although both Noelle and Thomas have said no one else entered.
So you can see right here from the diagram that CBS does in this great breakdown, I really liked it, that there's a administrative entrance to the prison right here that is not captured on the camera. And so someone could enter or exit without ever being seen. And if all the other cameras in the prison were shut down, right here, see the red ones? Those are red cameras. So none of those cameras were working. Convenient, isn't it?
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's so convenient. And best believe they knew this before they ever put him in this prison. Wherever this is at, wherever he was at, they knew that these things weren't up to date, up to code, or whatever the case may be. Because, bro, when it comes to, mind you, they did a lot of, I live in New Jersey. They did a lot of changes when it came to even the prisons and the county jail. a lot. Like, you know, they put a lot of new shit in there. Like, yo, it's so comfortable in jail. They got tablets now. They got in the county jail, you can get a tablet. Downstate, you can get a tablet, listen to music, all types of different shit. In the county jail, they renovate, you know what I'm trying to say, man. Goddamn. Now I'm fucking up my V's and shit. Renovated a lot of stuff. Put a lot of new things in there. All of the cameras were updated. When I went to prison, especially down Bayside, they were talking about, they would talk about the COs, like how they was real fucked up down there. They be, beating the shit out of people and stuff like that. And how it's not like that no more because they got all the cameras and stuff now. It's up to date. And they can't just be going around beating the shit out of inmates no more because there's cameras everywhere. So they got to find little blind spots here and there. So the fact that this specific place is holding a high profile person like Jeffrey Epstein and literally only one camera works, and the way in the cell that they put him in happens to be the cell block that literally you can't even see. Because if you look at the one almost directly in front of the camera, you'll be able to see the entrance right there. So that would be like a perfect one to put him in. But they put him in over here because you knew that door, that entranceway right there, you could get in and basically get out without even being seen. So like he said, is he really dead? There's so many different things. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still alive, to be honest. Because, a guy like that has so much influence and with so many different people in politics and everything. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he's still alive, to be honest. But if he's dead, he didn't kill himself.
The one camera that's working only captures a very, very slim, partial view of the prison. Right there, someone could get into or out of Jeffrey Epstein's cell. And of course, our friend Luke Rudowski has this photo from a drone. I don't know. I've asked Luke. He says it's 100% authentic. There's a photo from a drone of somebody who looks a lot like Jeffrey Epstein on Jeffrey Epstein's island after Jeffrey Epstein supposedly was dead. I don't know, man. I don't know. A lot of people say Jeffrey Epstein may be still alive. Maybe that's why they have to cover it up so much. I'm not sure. I don't have all the answers. I have lots of questions. And there's an absolute matter of fact that this video don't prove nothing. Okay? That's just is what it is. Sorry if that hurts your feelings. Whatever. We're just stating the facts here. And so we need more evidence. We need to learn more. What the hell happened to Jeffrey Epstein? It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe if you want answers to these questions. At the very least, we'll give you an honest, good faith effort to try.
Shout out to Benny Johnson. Very, very dope. Content creator. Now we on to, but yeah, hold on real quick. That whole, this shit is getting kind of interesting for me. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I haven't really been doing any like real research on this. I've been kind of just doing the update thing just because, it's relevant what's going on right now. But it kind of what got me about ready to dig into the situation. It's crazy. Benny Johnson is on their ass. But let's get into this video with LauraTrump. She's sitting down with Charlamagne Da God. Now, listen, man. Charlamagne, I respect his hustle. I respect what he does for, the culture. I fuck with the Breakfast Club. I just don't like, I don't like liars. Like, I don't like liars, bro. And, Charlamagne Da God, he be gaslighting. And I don't like it, man. I don't like it at all. But let's see what he's talking about. I haven't watched this. I seen a small little clip. It was really quick. So I'm like, this would be something interesting to play and react to. See what they talking
So
about.
as it turns out, when you build your entire show around sneering at half the country, audiences eventually tune out. Just ask the Late Show host Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
And then there's The View, where
Fuck 'em.
diversity somehow means only inviting left-wing guests.
I can't
It
wait till
begs
they
the
get
question,
canceled.
is there still appetite for civil discourse and apolitical entertainment? Or has the liberal echo chamber become the norm? Well, Charlamagne certainly has some thoughts. Well, I give you a lot of credit because you have had me on your show. You have people with differing viewpoints on a lot of different things on your show.
I'll give
and
you that. He definitely
Charlamagne, I
does.
think we need more of that.
Absolutely.
You know, you look, though, at things like, take a look at these numbers. This is The View. The View had, since January, from January until July, look at that, 0 conservatives and 102 left-leaning guests. And then listen to...
Is that real?
That's real. And this is ABC News. And listen to what ex-reporter Terry Moran had to say. He said, but we were biased. Yes, almost inadvertently, I'd say ABC News has the same problem so many leading cultural institutions do in America, a lack of viewpoint diversity. It's no secret there are hardly any people who supported Donald Trump at ABC News or other corporate legacy mainstream news networks. How important do you think it is to have different viewpoints and allow people, I mean, you're here on my show, I appreciate that, and vice versa, you had me on yours. This is important.
I think it's very important because I think a lot of times people talk about folks they never talk to.
Yeah.
And if you think that a person is spreading misinformation, if you think that a person is lying, then, you know, bring them on your platform and have that conversation. Like, you know, present the facts, present the truth, and then let the people decide. I think that's ridiculous to never, ever have anybody on your show that you don't agree with.
I do agree with her with that. He do be having, you know, people on both sides on his show, various different people. I can agree with that.
Or has an opposing view of you or is from a different political party. Because at the end of the day, man, regardless of who's in the White House, that person represents all of America.
Amen.
And I reserve the right to criticize both parties.
Well, and I would say that person is a representative of America, and we should all want that person to succeed for America, right? No matter your political viewpoints, right?
100% agree. Like when you ask me, you know, what do I think President Trump has done over the last 6 months, I don't want to say that I think he did a terrible job, but if he's doing a terrible job, I got to call it like it is. And if it was a Democrat,
I will respectfully disagree with you on that, but that's okay. You can have your viewpoint.
But if it was I gave President Biden the same hell too, you know, because I didn't think he was doing a good job. All we want is somebody in those positions that's going to do a good job. I'm not a party person in no way, shape, or form.
Yes,
I want to say I'm an independent, but that don't make no sense because there's only 2 parties in this country, right? So you're going to end up voting for one.
Bro, being an independent is a real thing. That means that you can vote for Democrat, pardon me, or you can vote for Republican. You know, so he's lying when he says that. And on top of that, you were pushing on your show. This guy was pushing on his show for everybody to vote for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, I've showed you clips of Kamala Harris, bro. We dodged a bullet. We dodged one. I'm just being honest. And he knows it, bro. Listen, bro, these guys can say what they want, but their base is black, right? And I respect, you want to keep your base, you want to keep your business going. And most of the people that listen to the Breakfast Club, that listen to D.L. Hughley show, Steve Harvey show, all of these different shows are black shows, culturally black. Not saying that no other culture watches them. I'm saying culturally, they're black. So a person like Charlamagne Da God, he can say what he wants, but he doesn't want to lose his base by agreeing with Donald Trump or saying that he fucks with Donald Trump. He can say what he wants, but he capping, bro. He capping. He's not an independent. He's a Democrat. He'll say little things here and there, you know, to kind of oppose them. But for the most part, bro, he's just going to say dumb shit like, oh, well, at least it's not Donald Trump. Like, he wants you to vote for Kamala Harris just because it ain't Donald Trump. And he was pushing the same bullshit narratives as every other Democrat was. The same ones. He was doing the same thing, literally. So he's capping.
Yeah.
No damn.
Do you see yourself in 2028 voting blue or voting red? And is there anyone you might already see yourself supporting?
I really don't know. I mean, I think that there's some good candidates out there. You know, I think that we really have to look to the governors when it comes to the Democrats. I don't think that there's any like change agents that's going to come out of nowhere and shake things up in the Democratic Party. I think it's going to end up being a governor, you know, Josh Shapiro or a Wes Moore, somebody like that. And they actually have a track record, right? Because you can go look at their states to see what they're probably going to end up doing on a national level. The only other person I would like to see in 2028 run, and this is going to sound ridiculous probably coming from me, I would love to see Jon Stewart run in 2028. If we're talking about like a change agent coming from the outside that's really going to shake things up, and somebody that I feel like can speak to, you know, all people. Plus he's a celebrity who actually knows what they're talking about. We've seen him get legislation and stuff, you know, passed before. Like, we know where his heart is. He'd be somebody I'd like to see really get in the race and disrupt things in 2028. You know,
well,
maybe a Jon Stewart Colbert ticket, because, you know, Colbert's not going to have a job. He's
it's
not working
coming to a point
because of
it's getting to a point where they hate is letting anybody run for president now. Like, I'm about to go run.
President Trump, so they say.
Well, people say different things. They also say he lost $40 million a year for CBS, which is also a bit of a problem whenever you're trying to have a successful show. If you had to pick a Republican who might be able to earn your vote, is there anyone you like that you would look at?
I mean, I was in South Carolina. I grew up in South Carolina under, you know, somebody like Nikki Haley, right? So I can see something like that. I do think, and this is, I think that traditional conservatives are going to take the Republican Party back. I think there's a political coup going on right now in the Republican Party that people aren't paying attention to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that this Epstein thing is going to be a way for traditional conservatives to take their party back. I really do. I think that they know this is the issue that has gotten the base riled up. The MAGA base isn't letting this issue go, and for the first time, they know they can, you know, probably take their party back and not piss off the MAGA base. I think they're going to do that.
Well, I would say, you know, we've never seen a typical election since the day that Donald Trump came down the golden escalator. So I don't know that we'll ever see another typical kind of traditional election with traditional Republicans. I don't know. I feel like things have changed, the game changed, and to say that the old guard is going to kind of come back, that's a lot. That's a big statement.
But that's the mistake Republicans are going to make. Republicans are going to make the same mistake that Democrats made, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Barack Obama was a one-of-one, once-in-a-lifetime, you know, political juggernaut. And since Barack Obama, every Democrat has tried to be Barack Obama. You're not Barack Obama.
You got to be yourself.
It's going to be the same thing with Republicans. Say what you want. Donald Trump is a once-in-a-lifetime, one-on-one political juggernaut. You're not going to be Donald Trump. So if you think you're going to be able to do what Donald Trump has done, talk the way Donald Trump has talked, get away with what Donald Trump has got away with, it's not going to happen. So everybody right now, we have the opportunity to have like a huge reset. I think you should blow it all up. I think that people are really sick and tired of what we've been presented from both parties. By the way, we knew this before the last election. They were telling us that like 70% of people did not want to see a rematch between Trump or Biden. So it's like we know we want something different. Everybody wants something different. So I think that if Democrats keep doing the same old thing, they're going to keep getting the same results. And if Republicans, you know, think that they can repeat what has been done and don't try to give the people something new, they're going to get the results they don't want.
Well, just to wrap up here, and I appreciate our whole conversation. You know, you on your show have a lot of young viewers. You're very influential, I think, with a lot of people. What would be your message to this next generation of voters? Because they're going to play a very pivotal role coming up in these midterms and coming up in 2028. What's your message?
Let's stop listening to the catchy slogans. You know, let's stop putting on jerseys for different parties, and let's just focus on the people who are putting the ideas out there that truly are going to put more money in your pocket and truly are going to make you feel safe in this country? Like, who is the forward-thinking people that are talking about, making this country more affordable, who are talking about really making you as an individual smarter, telling you what sectors to get into the world to make, this country better. Listen to people's ideas. Like, we focus too much on individuals. We focus too much on identity. We focus too much on party. What are people's ideas? Because that is what is going to always win.
All right. Well, Charlamagne, we appreciate you taking the time.
Now, look, there is. Let me back out of here. So, I agree with some of his points that he made. Right? Let's not focus on race. Let's not focus on individual person, this, that, and the third. But what he is saying is, without actually saying it, he's really trying to say Donald Trump don't have no ideas. He doesn't have this or that. When really, that's the Democratic Party, bro. The Democratic Party has no solutions. Donald Trump, if you go back and watch his campaign, if you go back and watch his interviews, watch when he was talking about the one big beautiful bill, when he was talking about tariffs, when he was talking about all of these different things that he is doing exactly what Charlamagne Da God is talking about. He has always been talking about making. He was just talking about Jerome Powell not lowering interest rates so people can afford a home, so they can refinance their homes, so they can do more things, right? Donald Trump is making these big deals with the EU, Japan, the Philippines. He's making big deals. He's putting tariffs. He's holding other countries accountable, right, for not doing fair trade with America. So he can open up markets, and so we can put our goods in their countries, and they can put goods in our countries, and it could be a fair trade. Charlamagne Da God is a fucking hypocrite, bro. And that's the reason why he be pissing me off. Because he's not serious, bro. There's no way you listen to this dude and think that he's serious. He could put on the grin, the gloomy look and act like he's so serious and he knows what he said. He don't know shit, bro. He don't know nothing. Like, what is he talking about? The Democratic Party, I said this a couple episodes ago, they have no solutions. That's why they're failing. And that's the reason why a lot of people jump ship to the Republican Party and voted for Donald Trump. Because they're like, yo, like, I can't afford this. I can't go through this again. Like, I need something better. And see, the reason you can sit there and say, and I can agree with that to an extent, that people didn't want to see Donald Trump again run and, with Joe Biden and all that. I can agree with that. Cool, fine. But it was what it was, and people voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump won with a mandate. All swing states, everything. House, Senate, all because people said, look, when we was under Donald Trump the first time, people had money in their pockets. Up to the pandemic, everything was fine. And they'll tell you, oh, well, that was Obama's economy and this and that and the third. But still, when you get handed over the presidency, right, you still have to, keep that going, sustain that. So we can agree that, okay, the economy was good and it was decent when Obama left office. But Trump sustained it, right? And he made deals, and he went over there and met with Kim Jong-un or whatever, little rocket man. I forget his name, but whatever. But he was just doing things that your, regular president wasn't doing. And he had more ideas that he was going to bring to the table. He lowered taxes and all of that. Like Trump had solutions. That's the one thing I can respect about him. Fuck Orange Man and all the goofy shit, the racism and all of that. He has solutions. People can say what they want. He been selling people. I watched him when he had the interview with who was that? He had an interview. He sat down with one of them financial damn. It's like right there. One of them financial companies, man, and he forget. It's blowing my shit. But anyway, during that meeting, he said, you don't know what you're talking about. Trump told the interview, he said, you don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong. You're wrong. They were talking about tariffs, and they were trying to clown Trump and trying to make it seem like these tariffs aren't good for America. It was going to cause a recession, this, that, and the third. Now, look, CNN is forced to say Donald Trump is the most influential president of all times, and it's because of the things that he's doing, right? So Charlamagne, he could get up here and say all of this dumb shit and act like, man, the Democrats and the Republicans, they ain't serious and all of this. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT of all presidents, bro. It's just what it is, man. You know? And I just call it how I see it. I see him coming to the table with ideas. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. He wanted to do no tax on Social Security. He wants to do away with income tax. You know, to be honest with you, it's a lot of things that, you know, that he's doing that's going to benefit us Americans. Like, what are we talking about? On the other hand, you had Kamala Harris talking about taxing unrealized capital gains. She don't even know what the fuck that is. She doesn't even know what she's talking about. She just says things just to say them. She said that she wanted, you know, when they said, oh, what was her name? Well, she had an interview and she basically was asking her, like, okay, you're saying you're gonna, you know, tax this and tax that, like why? Like, what is that? Like, what is the solution from that? What are we getting from that? And she couldn't say that. Like, what do you mean we have to? Like, we have to tax them. It's like, yo, you just wanted, like, you wanted to vote for a person who literally just wanted to, she just was going to be a puppet, bro. Whether it was for Obama or Hillary Clinton or whoever in the Democratic Party, she was just going to be a puppet and do and say anything they told her to say. Like, and this is crazy, man. Like, and Charlamagne Da God was one of the ones who was telling people to vote for Kamala Harris, bro. He was trying to make her look like she was competent, like she was good for the position, and make you feel like you were sexist or you were this racist and this and that if you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, man. Fuck out of here, bro. Charlamagne is, you know, he's fake, man. It's like kind of like, now look, I respect them in their field. They get into a bag. I respect that. Stephen A., I respect him. I respect his sports views. He's great at what he does. But even Stephen A. knows. He knows he be lying. Bro, I'm telling you, Stephen A. on camera, because he doesn't want to lose his base, and sit there and tell you that, you know, I'm not voting for Trump. You know, but I'm just saying that, you know, Donald, we got to be honest. We got to call a spade a spade. You know, Donald Trump, he y'all said that the tariffs, they was going to cause a recession, and it ain't a recession. So, I mean, shut the fuck up. It's crazy, bro. Yo, like people, and I get it, bro. You built this thing and you don't want to lose it or get canceled or whatever you want to call it, man. But sometimes, bro, it's just good to have integrity. Like, no matter what the cost is, you know, we're not in the Joe Biden era no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're allowed to say shit now. You're allowed to just be honest. You're not going to get canceled for it, bro. But anyway, man, I hope it was a good show, man. This your boy, SL550, man. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I drop a dope video. Until next time, I'm out.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams. I know niggas who played ball and gave it up for lean.
Millionaire thoughts, billionaire dreams, but my account in overdraft, I'm about to scream.
Rich man greed,
a poor man prayers.
Every man bleeds,
but look how God made us.
Too many losses, it's only right that we win. Yeah, I made a promise I'm never gonna lose again.